Hey there. Your day is about to improve. You're watching Laketoria Nights, a show where we talk about movies, TV shows, video games, and everything in between. I'm Kevin, joined by Andy and CJ, and today we're talking about the Netflix original Umbrella Academy. Say hello, guys.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, how's it going?
So, the Umbrella Academy is an American comic book that was created by Gerald Way. Did I say his name right? Maybe? Okay, whatever. And I had no idea this comic book existed until I saw, I guess, the Netflix series. There's only like 3 main series out right now, and the third one is still releasing comic books. So, yeah, after watching the series and then finding out everything about the comic books, I'm kind of curious where they're going with the second season. I guess I'll just throw the question on to you, Andy. What were your overall thoughts about the season?
I enjoyed it overall, though I guess my one big complaint is that nothing really felt super serious until like the very end. And I get that the first season was sort of like a precursor leading into what they were hoping was going to be the second season, since I'm assuming that's where the meat and potatoes of the story is.
Oh, once again, I'm sorry. I do this like every time we do series. There's a spoiler alert, so we're going to throw that up there right now. Spoilers.
Can the spoiler be that the author's name is actually Gerard and not Gerald?
Oh, okay, yeah, there we go. Gerard. Go ahead, Andy, sorry.
I lost my train of thought now. Anyways, it just, I guess the overall, like, I didn't have any, like, moments where I was just like sincerely suspended with the action in the show up until like the last 3-ish or so episodes, once things really started getting serious. But other than that, I really enjoyed it.
Cool. Well, what about you, CJ?
Kind of to tag on to what Andy was saying, because I definitely get where he's coming from, and I 100% agree with him. I love the series, but I found that there was points where episodes felt like they were like way too long. Because like there was like gaps where nothing would happen in an hour episode, and you felt like every bit of that hour. But overall, I do like the series. I will say to anyone who hasn't seen it yet, this is a type of series that you can't just write off after a few episodes. You kind of have to definitely see where it goes to get your payoff, and you will get paid off at the end of the first season, and you'll look forward to the second season definitely. I think we all complain sometimes that stories don't have enough time to develop, and I think the show had too much time to develop the story a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree. I feel like there were definitely some dead moments. Maybe the pacing could have been a little better, but...
Yeah, but you know, it's one of those
but God,
damned if you do, damned if you don't.
There was such a good payoff at the very end.
It was. If the payoff wasn't as good, I'd complain so much more, but the payoff was great. So it's definitely a show that you have to really give it a chance and watch it and endure some punishment of just a long episode that got you nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
But then you'll see, in the same token, there'll be long episodes that lead you into the last 3 episodes where you really have to pay attention.
Yeah.
Or else you're like, what the hell just happened? And why did it happen?
Oh, can I just say, why did they make the Asian guy the hentai tentacle monster?
I don't know. That kind of threw me off a little bit, especially at the beginning when you're seeing what all the kids can do, and they're like, "All right, it's your turn." And he goes, "Do I have to go in there?" And then suddenly it's like all these guys are getting killed. I'm like, "What the hell?
Yeah,
what is this?"
That's what I mean, though. It was just like, oh, I know where this one goes.
Ooh, I do want to say one thing too. Shout out to Mary J. Blige.
Right.
She was awesome in this show. Cha-Cha is probably my favorite character, easily.
But what was the other guy's name? Cha-Cha, and who was the other one?
Hazel.
I think it was kind of weird that they kind of focused a little bit on him, or on them in general.
Their dynamic, though.
But I think it made you care more about the show in general. They gave every character, whether it was like good guy or bad guy or indifferent or whatever, just a little bit more to each character, and it really works with the series. It was just a lot. It was just a lot of world building.
Yeah, and I feel like part of that was because they needed to pad out all the time, since they had, a full, 12 episodes? 10 episodes?
Mm-hmm.
I forget how many it was.
10 episodes. 10.
My point being is, like, I think the material that they were working with to get up to that point probably didn't need 10 episodes, and they were like, ah, crap, we got to do something with this.
But I appreciate the time they took to do it, even if I
Agreed.
don't. Like, while watching it, it was very hard, but looking back at it, I appreciate all of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was nice to basically be able to humanize I don't want to call them villains, but antagonists.
Yeah.
So then, is there something that you would change, or something to make the series flow a little bit better than what it did? Go ahead, CJ.
It definitely had a few pacing issues, but I feel like hindsight, I like it a lot more than I did when I was actually going through the gauntlet of watching it. And I call it a gauntlet because like from episode 3 to 6, you're sitting there like, and then you have some good points, then you're back to, I wouldn't really change, while I was watching it, I would want to change a lot of the pacing, but looking back, hindsight, I'm kind of like, you know what? For me to change season 1, I'd have to see season 2. Because I kind of, you know how you want to see where it goes before you can decide what you would change? Based off where it's at, I'm cool with it and I wouldn't change anything. But if I was going to change anything from the build-up, everything that happened in season 1, I feel like has to be addressed in some way in season 2. Don't do a 3 years later type deal. You know what I mean? I want season 2 to pick up pretty much exactly where season 1 left off.
Well, it wouldn't be 3 years later. It'll be,
10 years earlier.
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to pick up pretty much where it left off and continue on the pace that they're on. And I wouldn't really change anything.
How about you, Andy?
I'm going to voice a slightly different opinion from CJ. I liked most of the stuff that was in there, but I feel like there was enough superfluous material that you could probably cut the overall season down to about 2 episodes fewer. And I feel like if you took some of that material out, maybe just 1, I don't know. But I feel like if you cut out like an hour or 2 of some of the more, I guess, I don't want to say boring, but unimportant in the grand scheme of things.
So are you talking about the episode called The Day That Never Happened? Because I was a little angry about that episode when they did that.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. But no, I'm just talking about cutting out some of the material that lingers on too long, stuff like that. If you do that over the course of a 10-episode season or whatever, you can probably find an hour or 2 to cut. It would speed things up, and it wouldn't have felt as grueling to watch through certain portions of it. And that's about it.
I think my overall issue, I don't hate Klaus as a character, but I feel like his parts kind of dragged a little bit, and then just when it feels like he's about to turn or become a better person or something, yeah, all of a sudden something happens, and I guess that the episode where he grabs that time machine and he disappears and he comes back and suddenly everything about him has changed. And I felt kind of annoyed because it felt like they were creating a new problem with him. And I'm just like, why are we doing this? Why are we still going down this road? And that kind of annoyed me the most. And then me being the type of person that's like, I didn't know this was a comic book. I read ahead and I was like, all right, I'm reading all this to figure out what's going on. And they basically took the first 2 series of the comic books and kind of jammed it into the first season.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, now it makes sense why they did what they did. And I can't even tell you what's going to happen in the second season based on what I read because they changed so much. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, okay, I can only see what happens from there. But I think the thing, I don't know. I think I would have I think you're right. The 2-episode cut would probably be a great idea. I did not like the Day That Never Happened. That made me so angry because it was just like, if 5 wasn't there, I guess we all just give up. We're just not going to do anything or make an attempt to do anything. And I think that kind of annoyed me a little bit, where they're just kind of like, meh, all right, let's just do our thing.
Yeah, I agree with you on the Klaus thing. Him getting teleported into the Korean War just felt kind of hokey.
Right.
To me, because it was like they gave him plenty of opportunities to turn over a new leaf and get better as a person. And then they were like, oh no, let's re-break him in a new and horrifying way. Enjoy your PTSD, man.
Well, in the comic books, it was Klaus, number 1, and number 5. I forgot number 1's name. What's his name?
I don't remember.
It was Klaus number 1 and number 5 that went back in time to the Vietnam War.
Oh, okay.
So there was an actual arc that happened in the Vietnam War in the second second series.
I said
so
Korean
I'm just
War,
like, yeah. Oh. So there was like a whole thing with them back in time doing stuff, and so I'm like, oh, that's why they did that. And when they came back, there was supposed to be this realization that Klaus came to. But in the comic book, Klaus is more put together, and I think he's like the most powerful one out of all of them. So I'm just kind of like, okay, something's going to happen in the second season that's going to make him super awesome, and hopefully we get to find out.
Well, right. I mean, he actually gets to that point at the end of the first season where you're like, oh, damn, yeah, he is super good. So.
But I mean, in general, I'm just kind of like, all right, well, I can get behind this. I'm very excited to see what they do. I don't know. I guess the series overall, I liked very much. I want to know more about, and I think I was told 2 days ago that they're getting renewed for a second season. Yeah, so I'm just like,
confirmed.
Woo!
I think the weirdest thing about this series is, it's 10 episodes at an hour apiece, but it really felt like I watched 30 episodes.
There were points where that definitely happens.
I was just like, can't we get to the next episode? And what made me mad about it is at the end of every episode, they did enough just to keep you engaged to the next episode.
Every episode had a cliffhanger ending.
Like, damn it, I can't walk away. And then the next episode would be boring as shit, and you'd be like, wait.
But yeah, that's why I was saying, I think if you cut 2 episodes out, not 2, like, of the episodes in the series, but, like, you cut 2 episodes of material out, you completely avoid all those problems.
I would say what's hilarious when Klaus came riding in with the ice cream truck.
All right, well, my final question for you guys is, what's the one question that you want answered in the second season? Go ahead, Andy. You can go first. God.
Wish you had sent these questions out so I would have known. I guess I'm curious to see, what I'm most curious about is going to be how they interact with, what was it, number 2, who was dead?
Ben? I don't know what his number was, but his name was Ben, the one that died?
Yeah. What I'm most interested in the question that I want to see answered is how they react to him being alive again, and how they use the knowledge of his death in the original timeline to counteract it, or if they can, what's going to happen surrounding that, I guess.
Okay. How about you, CJ?
And I don't know if this was already answered in the first season. I don't believe it has. The other kids that were born on the same day, like in the same circumstances,
right,
that didn't go to the Umbrella Academy, will they ever make an appearance?
That's a good question. I mean,
I got real quiet, like it was a dumb question. I felt like I'm not going to talk anymore.
I thought it was the exact opposite. I thought Kevin knew because he read ahead. He was like, I can't say anything.
Well, to be fair, I did read ahead, but they haven't mentioned anything about the rest of the kids in the first 3. I guess. I take it back. In the third one, they do mention it. It's kind of cool, but.
Well, yeah,
but I feel like that
arc in series called like the Big 21 or whatever.
He got really silent, like CJ, you're the dumbest one in the room. I'm just like, oh.
But I imagine that they're going to become I imagine the rest are either going to become villains, or it's going to be like an X-Men thing where they're like, oh yeah, I can do this, and now I'm caught, and now I'm going to join the Umbrella Academy, and they're going to, I guess, continue on with whatever they're supposed to do, or pick up where they left off. Something like that.
Well, I know, because I don't want to be number 11.
But the one that I'm most curious about, I'm wondering how the series is going to handle it, because the father drove me crazy. I didn't understand anything that was going on, and you got one scene where I'm just like, what the hell is that? And it's when he was watching I'm assuming his wife died, and then she's just like, you need to go. And he's like, okay. And you see all this purple stuff and rockets shooting up in the sky, and I'm like, what the hell is this? And that's what made me want to read ahead, and then I found out the secret about the father. But I'm kind of curious how they're going to handle that in the series, and that's the one thing I want to know is, are they actually going to go in depth to what the father's doing? Because I feel like he's the reason that event happened.
Would you like to share this secret that you know so much about?
Fine, yeah. Well, the father's an alien. He left his planet and showed up there. And that explains that scene when he's walking around and he's like, all right, I'm going to buy this building. And it's going to be called the Umbrella Academy.
And yeah, it's like 100 years in the past. And
yeah,
he's
you're just
exactly the same age.
You know
it's
what?
like he's...
Does explain a lot.
Yeah, right. that bugged the fuck out of me. I'm just like, what?
I was curious
as
to whether he was like some weird time traveler and he had like, a paradox where he couldn't age anymore or whatever. But
no, he's an alien and he wears a mask. So I'm just like, okay, all right. Well, I want to know how the second season handles this. And I'm like, okay, I want to know. I want to know now. And
who else wants to know, Kevin?
Who?
His kids.
Yeah, I bet. Kids have no idea, and I'm just like, yeah, all of them are messed up, and it's not even their fault. I feel bad. All right, then. So are there any final words on the Umbrella Academy?
It is definitely worth the watch, even though it is a marathon of 10 episodes. It is definitely worth the watch. Like, you will feel great at the end. And again, shout out to Mary J. Blige, because I did not know she could act like that.
How about you, Andy?
Basically just parroting the same thing. Last 3 episodes are totally worth the first 7.
All right, I'm really looking forward to the second season, and maybe they'll focus more on that Dallas arc with JFK and all that other cool stuff that's going to happen, and I'm super excited about that, and I want to know how that turns out. So, yeah, this is...
violin players go on my untrustworthy list.
Right.
Listen, she would have been fine if nobody messed with her psychologically for years.
If they were just nice to her, and the father wasn't like this, I'm going to be an asshole to her on purpose. That way we'll all be safe. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
You have no powers. Go stand in the corner. You're not special.
That's right. That's right. I paid millions of dollars for you, but don't worry, you weren't special at all.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
You can't play. You're normal.
The day I adopted you was the greatest day of your life, but to me it was Tuesday.
Oh, there's always room for a good and bison quote.
As always, thank you for watching.
Game over.
Please like and subscribe. This is CJ, Andy, and Kevin signing off. Please, watch more movies and play all the video games. Goodbye.